This is Christian Hellmers. I'm coming at you live from Bob Baffert's barn, and I'm asking questions about a controversial topic, drug testing. In another video, I had mentioned that it was quite astonishing to see Justify do what he did in his route to winning the Triple Crown, and I posed a question to the public: is he using performance-enhancing drugs? And what are the drug testing procedures in California and other states, and are we up to snuff? So my goal today is to come here, figure this out, ask some hard questions. Bob Baffert and Jill Baffert have been kind enough to allow me to come back to the backside and go ahead and ask away. No parameters, and that's what I'm going to do here today, is find out what's really going on with the fastest horses in the land, and with the best, arguably the best trainer in the game as well. And Bob,
Christian,
nice to meet you. I'm here per your invitation and so forth. I know I came out and said, ultimately that was Justify using performance-enhancing drugs to do what he did, and I came here to find out. I'm here to ask you hard questions, basically, to understand. I know you're the best. There's no question about it. You're, in terms of earnings, in terms of the best races and so forth. What's your what do you say to somebody who's a horse player, and a lot of other horse players like to complain about the top, or using things to get their horses to move up? What do you say to that energy?
Well, I mean, it's very hurtful, I think, because we work so hard. There's so many people here that put in long hours every day, and I have clients and people. We work hard. I get a chance. We buy nice horses. They send me nice horses, and then when you hear the chatter, I can see. To me, it's more like disgruntled gamblers. When you lose a bet or something doesn't work out, we all need it, whether it's sports, any sports, whatever. He must be doing something. How could he throw so many touchdown passes or whatever? And unfortunately, that's the side of the game that, now with Twitter, everybody's got a voice. Before, you could be sitting at a bar, and if you lost your money, you just tell the guy next to you, "Oh my God, he must be doing something." So when you hear stuff like that, it's hurtful, because you don't want it to get out, because I have kids, family members, and friends, and my son asked me, why are they saying that? I said, we have to explain to him, well, these guys are they're gamblers, and they get disgruntled, and sometimes it's a way of blowing off steam, but at the end of the day, it's not nice, and that's what we have you here.
Yeah.
Except when you Justify. Ask him by his name, because he did it 112 days. I'm trying to educate you on why is Usain Bolt as good as he is? Was he using something or whatever? They're just born naturally, superior horses, and that's what Justify. If Pharoah hadn't run his hero, and I would have brought him along in January, he would have done the same thing. He would have just rolled the table, and unfortunately he got hurt. And we can't, continue running him, but he did a lot in such a short period, and that's what happened. Sort of caught up with him. But the thing is about it is just, we work really hard. I mean, we've got to the stage where this, of my life, where I get these good horses. I get to buy horses that I like. Can't get them all, and we've been so fortunate. We've had American Pharoah, we had Arrogate. When Pharoah left, I thought, I'll never have another one like that.
Yeah.
And here comes Arrogate. Took our time.
And how does Arrogate get that good, that fast?
Arrogate, he didn't get that good that fast. We took our time with him. He, I remember as a 2-year-old, he had some shin problems, so we let him develop. And most unbridled songs, they had this thing about, well, they don't last long. They're unsound horses. But that horse, we didn't run until he was 3. I mean, a lot of horses, if you really didn't run until they're 3, Christian, would really be, they'd be around longer, and let them mature. You've seen horses get older; they get better as they get older. I mean, 5-year-olds supposed to be their best year, but unfortunately, our horses leave because they're just they're worth so much money, and worth more in the breeding shed. Like American Pharoah, he's going to make 15, 20 million in the breeding shed, where if he ran, he's can make maybe 5-6 million that year or whatever. But so it's one of those things where I would have loved American Pharoah to run till he was 5 or Arrogate, whatever. But you know, the economics of it, you know, you can't stay in this business unless you're selling or you have to have some kind of money coming in. Just like you as a gambler,
Yep.
if you quit cashing tickets, then you're out. You're going to have to go get a real job, you know. And so it's the same way. So we, you know, that's why we try to manage these horses, and to build. We want to get a resume on them, to make them like the mare. If you want to win Grade 1, if they're that good. Stallions, you got to be careful where we run them. Make sure if they have the pedigree, they're going to be worth so much money you can sell them or breed them or whatever. And that's what we do. We're basically about young horses. That's my stable. Like here, mostly I have 2-year-olds. We're getting them ready right now. We've got some, you know, we broke, you know, a few maidens here. You know, we got Roadster, we got Game Winner. You got we have Pharoah's sister chasing yesterday. Look, you know, looks like it would be a star. So
then how did Justify did you know that Justify could potentially win the Triple Crown that early on? Did you see it? Was he that precocious?
We weren't even thinking about that. We got him in, and he came in late. We got him after the Breeders' Cup, and he they were high on him, and we had him at Los Alamitos. They all go through Los Alamitos. Got him ready there, and my assistant there, he was telling me, boy, he acts like a good horse. I said, well, just take your time, you know, put that condition into him, because I don't want to rush him. There's no rush for this horse. And so so when I got him over in January, the first time I worked him in Santa Anita, and Santa Anita is really deep track, and I worked in 5/8 with Drain Van Dyke, and he went around there, and I was on the radio with him. He said, just keep going. And he kept going out, and he was just doing efforts. And so when he came back, I said, man, that horse, is he tired? He said, no, wow. And even Drain said, man, we don't have, this is the best one I've been on. You know, you have for you. We had Mackenzie, you know, Mackenzie doing really well. So, wow. So then I remember Elliot Walden called me up. He said, what do you think? I said, man, he can really run. He said, I've been telling you he's a really good horse. So then we worked him out of the gate a couple times, and then, you know, I told Elliot Walden and Kenny Trout, I said, you know what? I said, this horse is he's superior. He's really, really, really good. I said he's going to run, and entered him, and the condition book had just come out, and there was a race in 3 weeks going a mile. I said, you know what? If he wins this one, which he should win, 7/8, I'm going to come back and sneak him in there, and then after that, then we'll know if it's, you know, maybe shoot for the Preakness, maybe, or, you know, run him in Arkansas. So he broke his maiden, he had blinkers on, and he was a little rank down the backside, but then when he turned for home, he was going so fast, I kept waiting for him to get tired and stop, because, you know, the track is so deep, and he caught another gear. And we didn't really let him run in the morning. We had him geared down, he was still working well. And he won that race. I remember running down there and said, I want to see how tired he was. And he came back, and he was, you know, he was blowing, but he wasn't like exhausted, so I thought, wow. This is something here. We have something really special. And so luckily that race failed. Everybody thought we were going to Sunland. We started to throw everybody a little curve that we might go to Sunland with them. And luckily the race failed. And I was leaving. I was out of town. I told Mike Smith, he was riding him. I go, and the reason we put Mike on him because China Horse Club with Abel Tasman, they owned him. They liked Mike, and he was supposed to ride him, but sometimes I like Drayden to ride these horses first out, whatever. And so I told Mike, I said, don't let him win by a lot, man. Just give him a little education, get him behind a horse. It's muddy, get some dirt in his face, just wait, then just let him out a little bit. I said, dude, you've never been on a horse like this. I'm telling you, we know how good he is. And Gray knows how good. So Mike test drove him a little bit, got him behind, you know, and he was still won by like 6 or 7. And I said, Mike, why'd you win by? Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, but you know, I could tell Mike was test driving a little bit. And so we knew we had something special. And then when Mackenzie got hurt, I was in Dubai. That's when I decided to, I called up, you know what, I'm going to run, we're not going to Arkansas, we're going to run Santa Anita. I don't want to put him on a plane. And I said, well, what about Bolt the Oro? I said, well, we'll find out what we have. I mean, you know, if we're going to take a shot at the Kentucky Derby, you know, I said, Bolt the Oro is the favorite right now going in, so we'll do that. So And then when he beat Bolt the Oro, then we knew, we had the favorite. And he was just just like when I worked American Pharoah. Before I worked him, we knew he was a runner. And as a 3-year-old, we knew I had, and I was sort of disappointed the way he won the Derby. Pharoah had to really work at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I was like, even my wife Jill said, I thought, what happened? How come he barely won? I said, you know what? I think he wants to be athlete. I don't think he liked stalking, whatever. And
you had Dortmund in there too, and he was.
We had Dortmund. He was on the outside, and so I thought, but.
Did you think Dortmund could beat American Pharoah that year in the Derby? Did any part of you think so, or is it pretty much?
I thought I knew American Pharoah was the best, but I have to be politically correct, and I knew Dortmund. I was trying to run 1-2. I don't care who won it. Down the backside, I don't care who won. I just want to win the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And down the backside, I thought Dortmund was going to win, and then when they got to about the 2.5, I see Dortmund was struggling a little bit. His head was coming out. I thought it was a little bit too far for him. And then firing line was just right there, running easy. And I saw Victor going to work on Pharoah, which you really don't have to hit him. And he was really asking him, and I thought, wow, I'm empty. I said, I can't believe I'm not going to win the Derby. And I was really under pressure because I thought, you know what, I won't get a chance like this again, And when he came up and won it, I was just so relieved. And I knew then, I said, well, this horse has a chance for the Triple Crown. And when we go to Pimlico, I said, you know what, Victor, we're going to put him on the lead. Just send him away from there. He's in the one. Go. Forget it. If he gets beat, it's my fault. And he just ripped away from there. He went fast. It was muddy. And he went 22 and change, but he was stroking it. He had those ears forward, and he was just like, and that's one thing about him and Justify. They just have that way of moving. They just go over the top. Except Justify is a heavier, stronger horse. If you look at him, Pharoah, you can see that he can go. He's a sleeker. Athletic, like lighter. He didn't have an ounce of fat on him. Where Justify still had a lot of baby fat on him when he won the Kentucky Derby. He was still when he won the Sandina Derby, but he was just so talented. That's why, like LeBron James, big old LeBron James. Yeah. And so
he was even not. He wasn't perfect after the race, whatever, but he was able to recover and still go. Because I remember he wasn't like there was some article he wasn't perfect or something after the race. But he was able to
Sandina Derby, the Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky Derby.
No, Kentucky Derby. What happened there is that he had bruised a heel when he ran in the wet track. And so when I ran him in the Derby, we had a 3/4 shoe. We put the full shoe back on. And when he ran what he did, we brought him out. The next morning he looked fine. I was going to leave. And I brought him out. I said, how does he look? He looks perfect. I said, man, we went over him. He looks good. Jogged him up and down. We do every day. And I brought him, and I wasn't going to take him. I see all the crowd. So I wanted to show him off. But they just put this gravel and stuff out on and with a couple rubber mats, and I almost didn't take him out there. And when I took him out there, when he turned on the gravel, all of a sudden that old bruise, the heel, he started flinching on it like he was hurting him. And so they were yelling at me, hey, bring him in. Hey, he's off. And then we looked at him, like the horseshoer, and so we 3/4 the shoe where he had before, and I said, just soak it. Get on it right away, because if you don't, if there's heat there, then they get quarter cracks or scratches or whatever, heat and flame. I thought it was that, but I said I had to get on the phone. Somebody asked me, hey, you know what? We're treating him for scratches, but whatever. And the next day, he was so much better. We soaked him, Epsom salts, and I brought and then it was like a wave of everybody. PETA was getting involved.
Oh, really?
Everything, like this horse is lame. He shouldn't run in the Preakness. These letters, and so.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Twitter, you guys, it's like Twitter. You guys, I'm telling you.
Twitter's just a stomping ground for complaining.
So I got the state vet. I got all these vets to come do a complete physical on him, and so they could see. And really, the state vet didn't. It was not their job because he's not going to run there. So they all came. They were great. They looked at him. They talked. He was fine, and that was it. I knew it was going to be over in,
Yeah.
48 hours, because it's like a little bruise. It's just like, it's like women wear the dress shoes, they get a little blister, and within a couple days it's gone. So we did that, and then I put a patch to reinforce the area. So everybody when I take the horse to the track, all the cameras were on the foot, just waiting for him to do something, But bad news travels fast. So we went in there, but it was raining, so I really couldn't train him. I couldn't do much with him because I didn't want to do too much, because I didn't want to aggravate the foot. So he came in there a little bit. I didn't do much with him, but I knew he's much the best. So I told Mike, just get him around there. But when Mike said when he came out of the gate that there was a horse in there that Windstar had, was going to be in the lead. I forget his name. He was in the 1 hole, and but I guess he didn't break very sharp. So Mike's in the lead, and all of a sudden he sees this horse coming. He thought it was going to be that other horse, so he's just going to, he's just going to let him go and just get off, and all of a sudden he looks up. It's Good Magic. So Good Magic. He said, "Oh, they're going to put it to us today." If they would have just sat there, they were going to run second, but they were trying to win it. So they were going to engage us. So I'm sure, we better engage them. So. He said, Mike said he engaged me, so I got away from him, because if you want to slow your horse down, get him relaxed, you get him away from the competition to settle down. So that's what he did. He went out to get away from him, but he just followed him out there. The rider did. And he kept pushing me out. He's down the backside. He kept bumping me, and I didn't want to come back and bump him because I didn't want to get my number,
Yeah.
So this is going on. I don't know this is going on because of the fog.
Yeah, the fog.
We can't
see the race.
see.
Can't see anything.
So Mike says, I'm in the 8 hole, and this guy, I know what he's doing. I look up, he wants to push me out, and then he's just going to hit and just duck in. He's going to open up on me. So Mike said, I had to move at the half-mile pole. I had to get going, engage, and he went with me. So they were having their private match race 8 off the rail.
Yeah. Wow.
They were way off the rail, so they're running, and all of a sudden, I see a little bit at the quarter pole where Mike's hitting them on the shoulder. I go, oh man, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. I thought he might lose.
Yeah, he's going to be empty, and all of a sudden, but then they turn and it looks like he's just going to open up on the field, and they go into the fog, and they come out of the fog, and he's in front by about 3/4 with everybody behind him, and he just holds on, and then this horse comes late, and he holds on. So I thought, wow, that didn't look like a Triple Crown horse there, what's going on? So then I went down to Mike. I said, well, that was fun while it lasted, but it looks like are we, is that it for us? Are we, finally, and he says, then he started telling me, no, you're not going to believe that guy was pushing me out, this and that. He had to move early, Bob. And I turned for home. How about the end? He says, he told me not to win by a lot, so I was coasting, but I didn't see that one on the outside, the Lucas horse, Bravazzo.
Yeah.
I sort of, but when he came to me, he says, Justify just took off again. And he felt him. So he wasn't going to get by him. So a lot of people felt, well, now he's vulnerable.
Right, he did look vulnerable.
He looked vulnerable. But then when he told me that, and when he came back to the barn, he was like, he didn't run. He was just full of himself. He was fired up, fresh, and everybody else's horses were just like, because we're all in the same barn, they're like wiped out.
Yeah.
And he's like, everybody's, feeding them carrots. And
would you have wanted to race against Audible if?
It didn't matter. I didn't care. He's too fast. He's fast. I didn't care. And we ran against a Windstar horse in every race.
Right.
Because the other horse was supposed to be in front of us, but he couldn't make the lead. The thing about Justifying, and the plan was, is just, he's the best horse. If they want to take it to him, let him take it to him. But when you have training horses like him and Pharoah, they're so fast that they just run you into the ground. They're just superior animals. And so,
do you give instructions as much in the Belmont, or do you just tend to?
No, we were gonna, when he drew the 1, he could have sat off the horse. Right. When you draw the 1, I said, dude, I go, watch Big Brown. See what happened. You can't. He hesitated. They came over and they just had him just boxed in. And when you drew the 1, you got to go. You just got to go for it. And so, and I had that other horse in there, and he's a speed horse, and I wanted him to lay second. And he broke slow. and we didn't want him behind because if he got dirt, he doesn't run. So I wanted to be lane 1-2, like Arrogate, American Freedom. That's what I want, like in Travers. But then when he got ranked, my other horse got ranked, and he was going to go up there to engage. So Florent got him away just to settle him down.
Right.
And he got him back, and then he brought him back in, and then down the backside, I thought I'm going to run 1-2 in the Belmont.
Right.
You know, I love my horses, but the other horse it was too far for him. But
did you hear some of the whispers about Florent's ride in that race and how some of the horses?
No, I didn't hear it till the next day. Okay. But the thing is, apparently they wanted the other horse as a rabbit.
Right.
But I remember Florent. I heard that they want to use him as a rabbit, and Florent goes, "Dude, I rode him last time. He's not that fast. He's not that quick."
You didn't think he could keep up?
No, he's not. And Mike Smith, nobody can. He's too fast. I mean, if you watch what Mike did, he left there like he was on a quarter horse. I mean, he left there. He did that with Arrogate in the Pegasus, and in the when he won the Travers. You know, just to get him flying out of there, and he went like what 20. I mean, he was smoking away from there. If you watch Mike, and once you got him rolling, and then you got him out there, and then the rest is just. And the thing is, Justify, he could have won by more, but I told Mike, I said, I hope when you come to the quarter pole, you just sit down and don't turn him loose until you straighten out. That's what, like Pharoah did. With Victor, he just sat on him and then turned him loose. But when he was coming to the quarter pole, he said, I could have just opened up. And he would have just opened up, and he would have won by more. But he kept thinking what I told him. So okay, Bob said no. So he just sat there, and then let him run him. But it's just those two horses. Now I know. I've been through it 5 times.
Yeah.
And I got beat. I know I got beat. But you know what? I found out if you have the superior animal, you can do it with superior animal. And things, they have to stay sound. They have to stay healthy. But
have you changed like in your preparation for the Triple Crown? If like when
I trained them all the same.
All the same.
I trained them all the same.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with them.
Yeah.
Except I just had more horse with those. There was just more horse. That's why they made all 3. Nowadays these guys don't run in all 3. They used to run in all 3, and so like Pharoah, if all those horses would have ran in all 3, Justified, Pharoah would have won by 15 lengths. He would have beat him because the horse that ran second to him in the Preakness, he beat him 25 lengths in the Belmont.
Right.
It's like they're tired and they're, you know what I mean? So the Triple Crown, I think, is sort of tougher now because now these guys wait. They wait for you up there, And so that's why you have to have a...
And so how much of it do you think, I mean, obviously you have a record that speaks for itself. Number 1 pretty much across everything in dirt and classic distances. I mean, you're in a league of your own. I don't think anybody would dispute that you're at the top of the food chain. But my question is, do you think that how much of that would you say is your technique versus getting the horses, these top horses? Because I mean, there are plenty of other trainers that are getting these $1 million animals, and yours continue to win the classics and win the big races and so forth. Like, how much do you think is it in terms of your bloodstock people that choose the horses versus how would you equate it all?
I think it's a lot of horsemanship. I started out with quarter horses. I did really well. I've brought this success from Arizona when I trained quarter horses, and I dominated when I was in Arizona, and I came out to California, and it took me a few years, and then I just had we won every major race at Los Alamitos, and so. It's one of those things where I've just always felt I've just worked hard at it. It's 7 days a week. I mean, I don't take vacations, and it doesn't matter if I paid $17,000 or $400 or $500 for a horse. I do have nice horses, but there's a lot of other trainers there, But I work hard at it, and I'm constantly working, and so.
Is it in the details? Is like in terms
a lot of
just,
detail, a lot of detail.
Like is it, and how much of it's mental do you think with the horses versus physical?
You just have to know your horses. You have to know your horses. And I got a great team. My assistants are the best. I got the best veterinarians, best feed, the best. I mean, the best straw, everything the best. Right. You know, and so.
Have you heard of using like hyperbaric chambers and things like that?
You know what? I don't use them. You know, that I've been told if I have a problem with a horse, I stop on them.
Right.
I stop on them. We X-ray. We don't spend the money, and I send them out. I'll give them 60 days, 30 days, whatever. And I think ice. I use a lot of ice. We ice them every day. We ice every horse. They go to the track. They're like ball players. We ice them, their knees and their ankles, and so it's just a lot of. That's to me. I think ice is the best, and I don't really like people use like different machines. They use they bring in people to
like chiropractics and massage and things like that.
I don't do that.
Okay.
We just have the old-fashioned elbow grease. You know, these guys rub them and brush them and. You know, as long as you're feeding them well, icing them and chill, giving them carrots and keeping them happy, and they're happy. A happy horse will run for you.
I mean, they look amazing. Like you showed me through the barn today. I mean, these horses look phenomenal. I mean, obviously you've already shared with me some of the facts that you care for these horses, at the highest level.
Well, they're like my children, right? So I'm responsible for them. So. Something goes bad, I just, it's on you. And so I just feel that that's why when you hear people saying, well, he's got to be, can't be that good. Well, you know what? I'm not one to be bragging about how great I am. I'm not that kind of person, and so I let, the results speak for themselves. That's one thing I love about horse racing. There's no judges out there. They're just the horses. They're doing the work. I'm not running. It's my job, but if I do, I feel confident enough. If I do get a good one, I know what to do with it. I know where to run it. I know what, the minute we had her, I knew what races I was going to put her in, point for it. She's one of
this right here?
This is Abel Tasman, who gave me one of my greatest. When she went to Kentucky Oaks last year, long shot.
That was and that track too. It was not kind of speed. It was kind of the speed, and she came from the back.
Yeah, and so for her to jump up and win that, it was so exciting. Because a lot of times we're the favorites, we're more relieved, we're under the gun. But when you win one like that, when you're not expected, it was so much fun.
That's cool.
And so I'm really, she's one of my favorites of all time. With a big ear, she's got ears like American Pharoah, but. She's smart, and we're looking forward to running this week against LA. It's going to be. I think it's going to come down to her this year for the championship.
Yeah, and then with regard to a lot of the horse players complaining, about drugs and stuff. Like, what do you say to those guys?
You know what? I really think these horses are tested continually. They do the out of competition testing. They've been doing it on us for like the last 5-6 years. Maybe 7 years, and nothing's come back. They haven't found anything, and I really like when they do that. I accept it. I want them to do it. They need to do it more often. I think everybody, and I think because it's good for the sport. We want a clean sport. I don't want to know about somebody's taking edge. If somebody takes edge, you get beat. I'm like everybody else. I get upset. Somebody says, "Oh, that guy, he's doing something," and then you get to thinking about it. Well, what could he be doing? Is he that good? And what happens is when you come from quarter horse business, like Wayne Lucas, we weren't one of the good old boys, so it took a while for us to get, accepted in the sport. But the thing is that I've always wanted to be above suspicion. I don't want anybody saying that. I don't want to be called super trainer or this or. But
you are a super trainer. I mean, you're literally one of the best, if not the best. So I mean, you're going to
there's
get that
two
tag
kinds
no
of
matter what.
The super trainers used to call me guys that just win at some ridiculous, whatever. But my horses, they just, A lot of the winter, we break their mate, and one set of them, they go in stakes. But I like, it's all about the big money, the big days. We want to be there on the big days, and that's what my clientele is made of, is performing, is having these good horses, and unfortunately, not all of them are superstars. We buy a lot of horses that just don't pan out, and so they're not gifted, but that's just part of the
Right.
the game. It's tough. If I could go to a sale, pick out the best one, they only sell 10 horses a year. It's just, you can't. It's a lot. A lot is luck, but it's experience. I can train a horse. I can watch it. I can tell. Okay, that one's a good one. Maybe he does not need to run there, and so
Can you tell how distances, like which horses are likely to go 2 turns easily, or is that more you have to experiment with?
No, I can tell that. I can tell that when you're working them. You can tell, and I'll talk to the riders. Like, I think I wasn't sure how far Justified was going to go, because he's a big, strong horse, powerful. He's the most beautiful horse I think I've ever trained, and I always thought, well, maybe a mile, but the thing is, he is so superior. That'd be like Usain Bolt. Could he have won going a mile? He could have, if he would have trained for it. But he liked sprinting, because that's, sprinting was like, it's sexier to be the 100-yard sprint champion than versus you ain't going a mile or whatever. So, but if they're that good, they can carry their speed, and that's what California is. It's with Byron. He really didn't want to go that far, but he was superior. He was so fast. He could carry, and those horses chasing him would get tired.
Yeah.
And but you have to have the right kind of track. You can't have it, deep, drying out. Like I ran him back in the Travers. I shouldn't have run him in the Travers. I've made some bonehead moves.
But do you really know? I mean, isn't it likely he may not just be ready to run that?
No, I shouldn't have run it, because he ran a big effort in the Haskell, and I ran him back in the Travers, and then he broke, and then he grabbed a hold of him and let those horses come to him early, and he needed to chase them. You cannot, as a speed horse, if you're you have to commit. You cannot just break and go slow, like when Pharoah ran the Travers. He broke well, but Victor didn't commit. He slowed down, he let that horse come to him, and then they started their own, and he emptied out. I mean, Pharoah, that was one of the best races. He was completely empty in the Travers, top of the stretch, and he still did not let that horse pass. And he had nothing left for River Keen. Keen Eyes coming at the end, but it really, I felt bad, because I felt I didn't really. It wasn't prepared for it. I didn't just focus on it. We went up there. It was like a last-minute thing, but it was. I would do it again, but I should have prepared. And that's when I, experience-wise, I go, you know what? I should have done it different. So.
What do you think of all the conspiracy theories around the whole Byron thing of you being involved in potentially?
Nobody bet on Byron. So that the problem is everybody was all in on shared belief.
Yeah.
And shared belief.
Well, he looked like a superstar.
And he was a superstar.
Yeah.
He was a superstar. But when you get the Breeders' Cup, they're all stars. I remember you go in the paddock, and all of a sudden you look around you, and you go, "Wow, these are good horses." I mean, they're this is like the finals, and the break was so important. And he was coming off of a huge win. He had just beaten California Chrome, set a 40-year-old track record at Parks.
Also, although Victor, I remember, took out that horse and he carried Shared Belief wide, and they thought that you were involved in.
But you know what? That's
too,
what caused. If that hadn't happened, that there wouldn't have been any talk about that.
You're right. You're probably right.
I had Fed Biz.
Yeah.
Victor was in another horse, and Victor went wide because he knew that Shared Belief, he was going to hook him with California Chrome later. Right. And that's why Victor was just, making him go all the way around.
Push him wide, yeah.
Pushing him wide because he knew California Chrome, that was going to be the, so he was
horse
just
racing.
Yeah, horse racing. He was being floating him wide, and but his Shared Belief still came and won. He showed what a great horse. So, but then Byron, he just caught a flyer out of there, and when he broke in, he broke so hard. I think he caught Martin Garcia off guard because he just like almost was out of the saddle with him because he broke in so hard, and he straightened him out, but he was just ramming. And Shared Belief was, he's a horse that came off the pace.
Yeah.
So Mike was, if Mike would have been on the outside, it wouldn't have been. He could have just like California Chrome, but when California Chrome and the other horse that ran second, when they signed Mike,
Toast of New York.
Yeah, sitting there, vulnerable. He was in a vulnerable spot. If Mike would have hustled and, he thought Mike was just going to follow him.
Right.
They came and just shut the door off, and he just shut. So now Shared Belief was at a spot he's never been before, and that's why Justify, we never let him get in that position, because when you have the best horse, you better just get out there and so.
Did you think you were going to get disqualified?
No, because it happened at the start. Because
Yeah.
the thing is, there was more went on halfway down the stretch. Because I saw a lot of bumping going down, and it was they would have had to take Toast of New York down too. It would have been like a double whammy. Everybody came down. So, but I really wasn't worried. But then they kept looking. And then when it took longer, so it took away from the wind because but I know Mike Smith, when he came back, he didn't claim foul on us, but he said there was a lot of stuff. He was talking more what they did to him there, but he was in a vulnerable
He wasn't
spot.
going to win at that point.
Yeah,
At that
so-
point, it was too much to overcome.
Yeah, so he was just. So it was a shame that Byron didn't get his due, because he was a good horse. He was a fast horse. It wasn't a fluke.
Well, he came back after that and lost, I think, at Churchill.
Well, you know what?
And then he just kind of
I really mismanaged that horse. You know what? He ran hard, and I should have, turned him out. Should have given some time off.
Yeah.
We do that, and that was a bad spot to bring him in, because he never did run well there. Churchill, he struggled with Churchill. A lot of horses will struggle with certain tracks,
Yeah.
and so I try to find a track that. Like I've had like American Anthem, he likes Santa Anita, he likes
everywhere.
Belmar and Churchill. He does not like Belmar.
You
not like
don't think
Delmar.
there was just racing catching up with him, maybe? Because, I mean, he had a lot of races.
Who's that now?
American Anthem? Yeah.
No, I know what, he's a horse that is, he just has to have a certain kind of track. Hey, he likes 7 days.
Right. I was 6, 7, 8 last time.
Yeah, so it was a bad spot. That's why I'm not running this week.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess any other thoughts on the notion of like how we're doing things here in terms of drug testing? And I know you said that you have no problem you have no problem people with like the cameras and all that. You think it's fair game and you're totally open book. It sounds like everything's really above board.
I really feel if somebody's suspicious of somebody, like they should just camp at their barn for a couple of weeks, watch them 24/7.
Yeah.
And I welcome that. They did that to me in New York years ago. And I'll tell you a story about River King.
Right.
So 3 weeks they sat there and I welcomed it. I said, hey, I want them. I want to be above suspicion.
Yeah.
And he won the Woodward and he won the Jockey Gold Club. And after that they said I was off their suspiciousness.
Yeah.
And I think. And I always say, if you feel somebody is suspicious, just spend the extra money and watch these guys, and for a few weeks, 24/7, have somebody watching them and when the vet comes, we'll see what they're doing. And I think, but what happens if they do that, they don't report it, because they only report something if you do something bad. That's the problem with racing. We do out-of-competition testing, but the reason you don't hear about it because nobody came with anything bad. So, but they're doing it. We do it a lot.
What about taking a horse to put him in a detention barn? A lot of people say detention barn.
Detention barns, they did that at New York, and I think it didn't really change anything. As a matter of fact, it's sort of, I think if anything, it would hurt the gambler, because a lot of horses you don't know how they're going to act. Like they'll go there and they'll be nervous, and I think it took away from some horses, And so I got lucky, my horses.
Why would a detention barn make a horse nervous though?
Well, the reason detention barns, if you go, all of a sudden you move them from their little barn here, and you take them with other horses, and they're just showing up for every race, so they think they're, they get out of sync. Horses are used to their own little little housing. So when they would go there, they have to be there for hours, and then they just.
How hard is it to ship a horse in your eyes from state to state? The whole travel thing, is that a big issue for not a big issue for top horses, or only an issue for medium level horses, or is it just dependent on the mental state of the horse?
I think when we ship right into the 3 days out. We're going to ship her Wednesday. I shipped like Justify.
Why didn't you ship Justify to Churchill this year? Is it just
a week out.
A week out? You didn't work him there. That's right.
No, I didn't work him there. You know what? I used to take him there and work him there. But the thing about Churchill is you're not going to run on the same track that you work in the morning. It's totally different. So I don't know why. And so you start seeing horses come in there, and California Chrome in there a week before, and he won it. So I said, and I went in there with her a week before in the Kentucky Oaks, and we won the Oaks. So I said, well, I'm going to do the same thing with him. She didn't. She wasn't there.
I was surprised just because it's worked so well for you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, change your plan.
No, all of a sudden I changed it. So I used to think go over there. So I just I went there and with him and worked him at Santa Anita. And Santa Anita is a deep track.
You think it's changed in the last couple of years?
It's changed a lot this last year. And so it's really deep. And so and this track is Del Mar is really deep. So we go from here. I remember when I went. I've done so well shipping from Del Mar to Saratoga.
Yeah.
They just run lights out. They get off of here, and they get to Saratoga, and it's softer, and they're just like Jimmy. The first thing he said, man, they just float. They just float over the track. So, it's a little bit different than here, and so, but I've had a lot of good luck, pointing, and we won I've won every major race up there, except the Whitney. I never ran in the Whitney.
Well, you haven't won as many races on the turf. Do you ever have any interest in going the turf direction, or is that just
no? You know what? We're set up for dirt for the young horses. Trying to get to the classics, the Breeders' Cup, and because that's where the value is for these horses. When they retire them, there's so much. Like turf horses, they can make a lot of money, but a stallion in America, they don't really. There's not a lot of interest in it.
Right. You never want to race at Ascot or Hong Kong or anything against those cats?
Ascot would be fun.
Because everyone's doing it in America now. It's trending.
But it's fast. But you have to ask your horse to do something really early to your own. And I don't want to push them that early. All of the horses I have, you have to really push on them early for that. And I don't like to push on them that young.
So it seems like that would be the only thing left to do, though. Given how you pretty much.
No, I would.
What else do you want to
I'd like to win another Triple Crown. Actually, I like to win a few. Like Derby for my other customers that haven't won it. I like everybody to have that. There's nothing like winning the Kentucky Derby and having I've got clients that have had for years that they haven't won it yet. I like to see them win it. Have that. Know what it feels like. It is the greatest feeling in the world. The Derby.
What about the Triple Crown or whatever, where you'd have to win the Derby, Preakness, Belmont, Pegasus, and Dubai World Cup? Would that ever be possible, all in 1 year?
I think Pharoah could have done it.
Yeah.
He could have done it.
You think Pharoah's better than Game On Dude and some of the other?
Oh, Pharoah! I think Pharoah and Justify. They're in a league of their own.
Those two above your other top classic horses.
They're above.
Okay. Above Byron.
That's why they're above. They're beasts. They're like LeBron. Why is LeBron James in there? They're just so Kevin Durant's. They're just these came out of high school. These guys would have come out of high school.
Right.
That's why they're so good. They brought it, and that's why I used to every time I lost a Triple Crown, I said, man, I have so much respect for those 11 horses. Man, they must have been unbelievable. And then finally you win and you go, wow. And so this year we really got to enjoy it because we knew it could be, we'd already done it. So it wasn't like, if I would have gotten beat with the Pharoah, I would have been all pressurized again, but it was a lot of fun and we knew that we had it. And it was fun watching Mike Smith. He was just, you could tell that, that was missing. He'd won everything. That was really missing on his resume and to have a Triple Crown like that. But it's a great feeling to know that you had a good horse and you didn't mess it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like you just feel like when you have a good one like that, you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. Great. Well, awesome. Hey Bob, thanks. I really appreciate your time. I know this is a harder conversation, but I'm very impressed with the way you run the barn. I'm very impressed with a lot of the things you discussed with me. Happy to do this, and I will relay the message to all the horse players exactly what you should.
Relay the message to the disgruntled gamblers.
Tell them to keep their mouth shut a little bit more often, or
some of my favorites, they're overbet them, and that's why. And then worst of all is when I have two in a race and the higher one wins.
Yeah.
Believe me, I didn't know myself. You know, that happened. I'll sit there and I go, ow. You know, it's like, but sometimes I'll have horses jump up there and win, and they catch me off guard. You know, like I didn't. Like, did you know that? Like, I've told people that.
Well, how much of the time do you think you can actually predict that your horse is going to win? Do you think you're right about half the time?
I think about half the time I feel pretty good about it, and then, but I don't want to jinx myself. I don't want to, you know, like I knew I could win the Triple Crown, but I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to disrespect the other horses in the race, and I don't want to get the other trainers or, you know what I mean? I like to just come in there quietly and enjoy it, but then when you have the favorite like that, you can't. And so But,
well, you're one of the best. There's no question about it. I definitely think your record speaks for itself. And again, I'm sorry if there's any hard feelings on the notion of challenging you on the
straight
PEDs.
because you know the PED it gets old, and it's just we work so hard, and we don't want to be in that classification. You know? And so it's something that. You know, it's good to get people out there, and I know some of you won't believe it. People that don't believe it, they just don't like me. I know, I understand that, but I don't know why they don't like me. But
when you get to the top, you're going to have more haters. It's just the way it
you know,
is.
it's something that I just came in, but I didn't just come in. My quarter horses were very successful. I was always winning, and when I went to Los Alamitos, winning there. It's just like I didn't come. You know, and I brought all that horsemanship, quarter horsemanship in there. I had to retrain my mind how to train these horses, and I watched a lot of the top trainers. Charlie Whittingham on stable next to him, Ron McAnally, who I think is, you know, one of the, you know, I watched take it from them, and I just got a little from everybody. I used to pick the brains of Las Barrera, Charlie, and I remember the first time I went for this Triple Crown. I had Silver Charm. I asked Steve Haskins, a good friend of mine, could you give me the charts, the work, how they work, Secretariat, Seattle Slough, you know. And he gave them to me, and I go, Secretariat came back, and he worked a half, then he worked a mile, and he worked 5/8, and he worked, I go, wow, I can't do that. I won't have a horse left. I mean, that's Secretariat, that's how good he was. You know what I mean? These are in Seattle Slough.
They were racing every 5-10 days.
I mean, those guys used to run 2 races between, whatever, and so now it's changed. And in Las Barrera, I think he worked maybe once or something or whatever. I said, well, I guess I'm just going to stick to my normal pattern, and I did, and it's been the same pattern. And I went to Churchill. I didn't go to. One time I went with Cavalier to Belmont, and I didn't, you know, he got hurt, so. But I mean, every time you're always second guessing yourself. Oh man, maybe I should have gone to Belmont. You know, you can second guess you, but I always felt the only time Warren was a mistake. I knew going in that I was worried about him because he was light, didn't weigh very much, and I took him back to Churchill, and I should have taken him to Belmont, or maybe I shouldn't have run him at all. He was light, but you feel the pressure of having to run it, and he got really hot in Churchill Downs. And this horse was just, I had fans out, it was just still sweating, it was mute, it was just a weird, it was 2 weeks of just hot, muggy, and the horse was just, I could tell he was with a new, and I took him, when I went down to New York, then the cold air hit him, and he looked like he came to life, so I thought, well maybe, but then he stumbled, and he had to have the, you know, he was just, but I think it was just too much, and then I freshened him up, but he couldn't handle it. He wasn't Triple Crown material.
So last question, who's your favorite horse? Who are your top 5 horses of all time that you train?
Well, I've got a top 5, and I hate to mention all of them because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But I've got, 2 of my top ones are. So,
Yeah, of course.
So that's it. But I do have, but Midnight Loot, I put him up there too. He was pretty impressive for us.
Yeah, it's fast and close. You can close faster than any surface, anything. Okay.
All right. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thanks a lot, Jill. Thank you very much.